Hello, Mac.
Hiya.
Hi. Oh, you have your webcam as well. Great.
I do.
Mac content, great content, says Evacor. Yeah, hope so. I hope I'll be teachable.
How
There's,
coachable are you on from 1 to 10?
well, let's say 5. I know many things that aren't true. when I'm
I have
when I,
approximate knowledge of many things.
Yes, approximate knowledge of many things. Some of them cross-referenced from other games, and then they turn out not to be true when applied in League, much to the chagrin of some of my more experienced League viewers.
Nice, nice. There are a lot of really cool Warcraft concepts that we can apply in League, though.
Okay. So, what is your gaming background, Mac?
As in, like, professionally or just historically?
Well, let's make it simple for the viewers that know me. What games do you play among Dota 2, StarCraft 2, and Warcraft 3?
So I played a lot of Warcraft 3 as a kid. Haven't played it for a long time, and I've been a League of Legends coach for like 8 years now, ish. But I
Ah.
actually haven't played any League games in ages and ages and ages because I had a wrist injury, which is why I went into coaching.
Oh shit.
So here we are.
Oh damn. Played basketball.
I did all the things you could possibly do that are bad for your wrists. You know, like I did loads of like weightlifting and loads of. I used to be a circus performer actually back in
Wow,
the
that's
day.
cool.
Yeah, I did a lot of hardcore World of Warcraft stuff and a lot of League of Legends. Like, I mean, I was playing League since like basically since season 1, maybe even beta. I can't remember, but since I was really young, so I've probably been playing League for over half of my life now because I'm 29 now. It's been about 15 years.
Wow, that's awesome. But unfortunate about the wrist injury. But then you found your passion through coaching.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. It's all
Cool.
good, and it's a lot better than it was now. So.
What is better, coaching environment?
Oh no,
The
wrist
wrist.
injury, way better.
That's good. So you can play a bit again?
Do you know I haven't played a League of Legends game in about 10 years, and sometimes I miss it, and then I look over my players' shoulders when they're playing solo queue, and I'm like, you know what, I'm good. I'm good. I just love the game, so I just watch a lot of competitive, and I when I saw someone put like a Reddit post of you saying that you hadn't had any coaching offers or something, um, and I knew who you were because in my free time, one of the things I like to do to disconnect is to watch Warcraft 3 because it's one of my like old school childhood games. And in the last kind of 2 years, I realized that there was still like a competitive community going on in Warcraft, and I was
They're
like,
still
nice, I'm gonna
playing
watch this game.
it? Wow, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that thread. I mean, it was no accusation to the scene. I'm not that proactive with like seeking it out. So people were like, "Why aren't you getting any coaching with League yet?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't. I don't know anyone. First of all, in the League scene, and secondly, I didn't seek it out. So I was happy you reached out, and a lot of my community knows about you and says you're a great guy and a coach for Mad Lions. Though I think you switched team by now, right?
Yeah, yeah. I we just did our kind of December boot camp with Vitality now.
Cool. And this might be a stupid question because I don't know if there's
No
division.
such thing, bro.
I don't know if there's a division two. Are you in LCS or is there a second division or?
So the EU LCS changed to be called the LEC. It like rebranded in 2019. So
LEC.
we're in to the League of Legends European Championship. So
Oh, okay.
that's Division 1, which is the division that we compete in.
Yeah, okay. And are you from Europe too?
Yeah, I'm British or Ukrainian, as my co-workers like to call me.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So, have you ever coached anyone as bad as me?
So the last time I coached someone in a solo queue game, like in a solo queue environment, because they're very different, competitive and solo queue, was probably in like 2016, 2017, when I was like coaching out of my bedroom, like scraping up, scraping together enough individual coaching sessions to make ends meet.
Oh,
Before it was like, I mean, it's been the kind of industry where you started off and you accepted that you weren't going to get paid for a couple of years, right? And it was kind of a passion thing. So that's the last time I coached someone in solo queue, to be honest. But have I coached people who are very low elo? Absolutely, yes.
okay. Okay, cool. And yeah, I done a bunch of coaching too in early Warcraft 3. It's good times setting up like coaching sessions. I remember sometimes my friends and I would like go to someone's house and we would go drink before going to the club, and then someone is like, okay, let's go to the club now. We're buttered up with alcohol. It's much cheaper, of course, at home, right? Let's go to the club. And then I was thinking, like, you know what? I could go home and I could do some Warcraft 3 coaching. I know someone who's online right now. So instead of going to the club, I would go home alone and do some coaching. I think
Sounds worth to me, to be honest.
it's a good exchange, right? Because otherwise,
so.
you go to the club and then your friends keep being like, where's Timmy? What? It's like, okay, let's do some coaching. So, do you have any idea how to start with me? I mean, I know you've watched probably the one game. You said you watched the Bard game.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of ideas. I have a lot of questions. So let me know how you want to do this.
Sure. So I watched your most recent video, and I mean, I heard you say that you were going to actually put more time into like just one champion now, right? Because you'd been doing like a lot of different roles and a lot of different champions before, which is like the broad approach to learning, which is a cool approach. Nothing wrong with that approach, by the way.
Yeah. And then I was thinking I should just start with an easy champ, not too complicated, and just kind of get the basics down. So I went with Bard.
Okay. Is there something about support role that drew you to it?
Well, I like support in Dota as well, and I like support in HATS as well. But I also usually like offlaners, people that do like bunch of one-on-oneing. So I think like mid lane or top or support are most attractive to me. But I like playing all of them because it's all new. And I mean, I had a lot of fun games on ADC and jungle once I kind of got the hang of jungle. But I'm kind of just like doing whatever, playing it on instinct, because I haven't seen any framework for what every role in League is meant to represent. I'm getting like little bits and pieces from chat, but you know what it's like. It's kind of with
do this. You're doing it wrong.
With respect, it's kind of like walking into a monkey cage, and everyone is flinging poo and banana skins, and sometimes there'll be like a gold nugget, but I can't detect which one is which.
Nice, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed seeing your chat tell you about like, what the items were doing and like what you should be like doing like on the wave at level 1, so you get your level 2 like first before the enemy team and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'll be like, I don't know, I can't look at this right now.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, there's actually so many interesting concepts. A lot of them that the chat were mentioning to dig into from that game. So I mean, I don't know if you had the chance to look at it, but I prepared a little something based on that game, just with some like links and timestamps.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you sent a document. Let's check it out. But first of all, I was thinking maybe I can ask you about like how, like what every role does, and maybe to poke holes in a couple of assumptions that I had about different roles. And then
Let's talk abstracts. That sounds great.
You tell me if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, go.
So when I was top laning, I would be one-on-one a lot, and maybe I get ganked by the jungler. In the first 10 minutes, I don't think the mid laner ganks me on average.
Depends on the type of top lane matchup. So top lane is often kind of ironically referred to as the island. And historically throughout League, both in like pro play and solo queue, top lane is usually the one that gets kind of the least resources, and it's very often like you're locked 1v1 on some like crappy tank matchup where you have these two like wet noodles hitting each other, you know.
You both can't kill each other.
Yeah, exactly. But then there are a lot of different examples. Top lane's an incredibly broad role with like an enormous number of playable champions, and a lot of those champions are like hard carry champions that require a lot of resources. So if you're playing a game like that, like for example, you played Aurelia recently, right? And Aurelia is this champion where basically her whole kit is designed to help you go forward and kill people, and she does her absolute best when she is able to stay in combat with people for as long as possible, and stack up and just keep hitting and hitting and hitting. And like for example, the way that her Q works is that she's really good when she's able to dash forward into the minion wave, because you can execute the minions with the Q and keep going and keep like threading more and more abilities into your combos, right? Which is like the fun part of the champion. That's when you get like awesome Irelia montages. And those champions need a huge number of resources. So if you are playing with an Irelia on your team and you're playing mid lane and you have early push, and again, it depends on your type of champion. There are lots of like facilitator mid laners rather than like hard carry mid laners. Then you're going to go gank top.
Ah, okay. And they may need a little bit less resources themselves, or they recognize that the Irelia needs so much extra help to get her net worth served on a platter.
Exactly, exactly.
I
As a
see.
general rule in League of Legends, and again, this is like it varies from solo queue to competitive,
Yeah.
but I like to think that. So you have one role that doesn't take resources most of the time, which is support, or at least they generate their own resources in a unique way. You then have on the whole map, when you include like all the lane farm and all the jungle CS, you then have enough farm for 3 roles, generally speaking. Like to have 3 roles doing really, really well and being what we would describe as being on the curve or ahead of the curve. And
But
to be on curve, realistically, is like 10 CS a minute.
10 CS a minute, okay. But you don't call them cores in League, do you? In Dota, we call those 3 core.
Right, no, yeah.
What do you call them?
I don't even... I mean, you can call them your carries, generally speaking.
3 carries.
Yeah.
Okay. All 3 are carries, and then you further define them by their position. Jungle, mid, and top.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Or
And
ADC, or... Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not necessarily rigid in that sense, right? Like there will be team comps that are like protect the president, you know, where you'll have like what you'd call a hyper carry, AD carry. Like Cogmore has historically been an example of this, where he's like a turret that you like set up, you know, and you'll have like a
Cockmore?
buff. Yeah, Cogmore.
Okay. I'm gonna have to see someone spell that in chat because it sounded weird. Oh,
Yeah.
Cogmaw. Okay. I heard something else. All right, yeah. Set around him. Set up around him. Okay, and it. Okay, got it. And every time as a top laner that I rotated mid or bot, I got heavily rebuked by chat. Like I'll be like, I don't know, level 8, and I'm like, let's go gank bot. But unlike in HOTS, Heroes of the Storm, we don't have a mount that makes you 40% faster. And unlike in Dota, we cannot take a warp gate or TP to the other lane. Though we do have that summoner spell, teleport. So usually those rotations have felt heavily punishing. And then chat would usually be like, stay in your lane, just stay top, and you force them top, and you make people rotate on you, and that's how you create space and pressure. And I could go all the way to the Nexus via top lane before I start interacting with the rest of my team.
Not true. I think chat has maybe given you a slightly black and white version of that. That's just very new for me for Twitch chat. But
so you don't read Twitch chat?
No.
So
I mean,
you have
I
your
don't
sanity.
really stream. Yeah. I don't stream. I don't look at Reddit. I don't look at really any of that stuff. I actually blocked all my social media at some point this year because we had a horrendous international tournament, and so I just stopped.
Wow. He still has his sanity, chat. That's amazing.
So roaming. So in League, your roaming windows are defined by your wave state, right? So a minion wave spawns every 30 seconds,
Okay.
which means that generally speaking, like if you crash a massive wave of minions, do you know what a slow push is?
A slow push is where I would probably keep the tankiest creeps of the opponent's wave alive so that my wave can like bottleneck and then have like a bigger push, or not?
Exactly. So you can group 2 or even 3 waves together and crash them all into the enemy tower at the same time, and that's going to mean that they're going to be stuck beneath their tower farming for a long time. And then because a wave spawns every 30 seconds, most of the time when you are like laning versus an opponent, the most efficient way to harass your opponent and deny them creeps is to stack these big waves and harass them on the waves, because it keeps the wave on your side of the map for a long period of time. And that means that you get protection from enemy jungle ganks. And when the enemy jungler does come and gank you, you have like 10 minions that are hitting the enemy champions, right? And they deal a lot of damage, especially the cannon creeps deal a huge amount of damage. So that's generally like the kind of accepted consensus on how you build up lane advantages. And once you then crash those waves into the enemy tower, usually the wave will bounce, what we call bounce back to you, and do the same thing. So 3 waves is 1 minute and 30 seconds. So on that 1 minute and 30 second timer, you can then move. You can then go and do something. So for example, if you're a top laner, you crash your wave, you reset, you walk through bot lane, gank bot lane, and then you TP back to top to catch your wave.
Okay. And you walk to bot lane from a recall.
Yeah, for example. Or TP directly there and then walk back top, right? Like
Sure.
the TP just saves you the travel time.
How do you manipulate a wave to slow push up? Do you kill the range creeps and leave the melee alive?
Yeah, exactly. Because the melee are very tanky. Generally, you want the last minion of the enemy wave to die as your and you hit the creeps, like you last hit the creeps as slowly as humanly possible, right? Like you leave it as late as you possibly can, so that you have like 3 of your ranged creeps auto attacks flying in the air before you last hit the CS, and
Oh,
that makes it slow down. And you want the last minion of that wave to die as the next wave is approaching.
okay. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, even the little detail where you only start hitting it as the arrow is already in the air, so that they were still standing still there aiming their bow. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's the same for tower shots, right? Like, for example, melee creeps in League of Legends take 3 tower shots before they die. So normally
Yeah.
what most people do is the tower hits twice and then they instantly auto-attack. But you can wait for the tower to shoot the final killing blow and then last hit the creep, and you're effectively slowing the tower's auto-attack speed by 50% almost.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool. Makes sense. Cool. Okay, so talked a little bit about top lane and how you can earn the right to leave. Let's talk about jungle. I noticed jungle lane is really underleveled, like compared to other champs. Is that normal, or is it because I didn't get any ganks?
So your XP in the jungle mostly comes from farming camps. It's not a particularly low XP role. It will typically be a little bit lower than the solo lanes, but a little bit higher than the AD carry and support. So it's kind of middle of the
Okay.
pack, but that really depends on your clear speed and what you get off. Your ganks don't tend to give you much XP, and kind of the dynamic in jungle is often that so in League of Legends, a lot of your early strength comes from levels. Like, for example, if someone is level 3 versus a level 2 champion, but the level 2 champion has an extra longsword, so 350 gold worth of stats in their bag, the level 3 champion will usually win.
Yeah.
Because of your your abilities leveling up, and because of the base stats you get from leveling up are just worth so much in the early stages of the game. So junglers, when they are ganking people, they are getting gold and they are denying gold from enemy laners and XP from enemy laners. And generally speaking, they are foregoing some XP because the XP mostly comes from the camps. So jungle is a lot about getting to your break points when it comes to your XP. So for example, hitting your level 3 spike, hitting your level 4 spike, and then doing a gank on that timer, especially if you're faster than the enemy jungler, right? So if you're level 4, the enemy jungler is level 3, you have a big window there where you can be really, really aggressive, and you should win all of the 2v2s or 3v3s on the map because of your level lead.
Okay, I see. And then I had a really interesting moment recently where my mid laner went top as well, so we had 2 people top. And I was jungler. And in every MOBA that I know, what you do is that you will then cover mid. In Heroes of the Storm, even if you're support, you will leave your ADC and you will go mid because someone has to tend to mid. And as a jungler, I'll be like, well, I'm not going to hit jungle creeps, which are worth less than lane minions in Dota. Like, I'm going to stand, I'm the new mid, I guess. But I still have smite. I still have the little blue wisp or the green wisp or the red wisp, the little critter following me. And chat was like, no, keep hitting jungle. Don't hit mid, just let it go. I'm like, but it's crashing on my tower. Like, he's getting chip damage and there's nobody here. Like, what's the right call?
So generally the right call would be to farm your jungle and maybe pick up some minions here, like pick up the here and there, like the most valuable one being the cannon, and pick that up. So this is an interesting one where what you're describing in other MOBAs used to also be the case in League of Legends.
Yeah.
And this is one of the cases where typically the Riot devs have tried very hard to avoid competitive balancing impacting the way that solo queue is played. But there was basically a kind of meta-breaking innovation back in 2018 that kind of broke competitive play, and it was called funneling. And it was basically where your mid laner would take smite, and your jungler would play as a support. And so you wouldn't play with a jungler at all. You would play with a duo lane mid, and they would push the wave and then go and farm the camps, and you would funnel all of your resources into your mid laner, who'd be playing like a hyper-scaling AD carry like Kai'Sa, for example.
So he gets all the jungle creeps, and he gets an entire lane for himself. And
Yes.
he gets a support that's babysitting and baby feeding him everything.
Exactly. So you'd play like Braum or something, and Braum would just walk around with you and just feed you everything, you know. And this was Riot didn't like this, and it was considered to be kind of very boring. Fun fact: my team back then, Splice, was one of the first teams to have someone do this against them on stage. And the guy who did it, Perks, who's like a kind of one of the greatest of all time League of Legends players in Europe. He broke the CS per minute record against us in that game, and we got absolutely stomped into the floor.
How did you feel when you realized what was happening? You were watching from the sideline. Are you on comms with your team? Like, is that allowed in League, or are you watching from the sideline?
No, we do the draft, and then we have 90 seconds to tell the players, this is how we think the game is going to go. Remember this, etc., etc. And then you're off. So we had like this was. It had been happening in scrims behind the scenes, right? So we'd been scrimming for like 2 weeks, and it's not like there was really anything you could do to stop what they were doing. But we thought that we could kind of handle it, because the conventional wisdom at that point was, okay, well, if they don't have a jungler, then the way to counter this is then to go and get your jungler to get his level 3 spike, and then go and dive the enemy bot lane or dive the enemy top lane and snowball the game. Which in reality, in competitive play, didn't end up working very well. And G2 was also playing Heimerdinger bot, I believe, at the time, like a mage bot lane, which has a lot of wave clear, so you can't really dive them. So we ended up just kind of failing at diving them for like 20 minutes and then losing the game.
Good adaptation, though. It seems like a good theoretical answer, but sometimes the strat is already so advanced by the time it's unveiled that they've already thought about how you're likely to react to it. You're just at the disadvantage because you don't know the build, right?
Yeah. So that's why the funneling nerf
doesn't work
came
anymore.
into existence.
So what they did is, I'm inferring from this that if you carry Smite, you get disincentivized to hit lane creeps.
Essentially, yeah. And
like, how much are we talking about?
That's a great question, because it's been through so many forms, because people kept trying to kind of bring it back, so they've changed the way that it operated for a while. I think right now, if I remember correctly, there's essentially a limiting factor where you get diminishing returns on income from CS it's either CS if you're the person with the most jungle creeps in the game, or on jungle camps if you're the person with the most CS in the game. I think it's jungle camps if you're the person with the most CS in the game, you get less. And junglers just naturally, like over time, they funneled a lot of extra gold and XP into junglers via the jungle item, because camps used to just be worth the same for everyone, but now they're just worth a lot more for junglers.
Okay. So I don't know the exact maths, but how do I know where the tipping point is of... I should catch this wave, or I should do the next jungle camp so it can reset its respawn cooldown?
Sorry, what was the question?
How do I know where's the tipping point between making sure that I creep a jungle camp as quickly as possible so I can restart its respawn cooldown, or I see a crashing wave on mid tower? Let's say my mid is either Buffoon or AFK or disconnected, or he's in the wrong lane, or he's momentarily rotating, and I see a wave coming. How do I know to choose between that value proposition of what's better?
Sure. So I would say it's how efficiently you can soak the golden XP. Like, for example, how quick do you kill them? Is there a cannon in the wave? Because the cannon is worth a lot. Even with the nerf, the cannon is worth a lot.
Yeah.
And then also, what is the cost in terms of the map? Because the most important thing if you're a jungler is your role as a facilitator on the map, right? So what is the cost of me showing on this mid wave? In terms of the lanes that I'm playing with.
That makes sense. So it's a bit like with Axe in Dota, where every time I show, everyone relaxes because they know they're not about to get got.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting, okay. And then I think I mostly understand what ADC does. They get funneled a lot of resources, they have a babysitter, and then they're supposed to kill everybody.
Pretty much.
Okay. Support facilitates the ADC, but can also roam and rotate.
Yeah, so support is a lot about vision and numbers advantage. Those are the two big things that support does. Support jungle are also very often described as kind of a duo role. Because in the early game, and this is why in a lot of competitive games, people prioritize getting like control over the bot wave very aggressively, because it frees up your support to move on the map with your jungler, and then you can have like a 3v1 on top lane very easily with the support moving.
Oh wow, all the way to top.
Yeah, provided you have the conditions we talked about before,
Yeah.
where the wave is in a decent state to allow your AD carry to basically chill for 1 minute, 1 minute and 30 seconds without getting dove. Like, as a
Okay.
support, the general rule is, at least in competitive, in solo queue it's different because your AD carry will not be, the best player in the world, and will not necessarily be the one to carry your team. But in competitive, generally speaking, you almost never sack your AD carry unless it's for like a kind of game-winning, very volatile, very explosive matchup on top lane, like in Irelia, for example.
Right, and by sack you mean this guy is hopeless, we're gonna ditch. But except in competitive, it'll be like a judgment call that you're gonna try a different avenue of victory.
Yeah. So what I mean by sack is basically there's two scenarios that can be completely fucked for you as an AD carry. There's the wave is frozen and you can't approach it, and enemies are carrying on to freeze it, and if you walk up, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So you're literally like zoned from XP.
Yeah.
And there's the wave is stacking towards you, and no one is covering you for the dive. So you are getting 3v1 dove, and you are losing everything here, and the enemy AD carry is getting 2 or 3 plates. Those are like the worst stacks you can do, right?
Yeah, understand. Okay, I think that's a lot clearer. Oh, and mid lane, how does mid play?
So mid, generally speaking, is either a hard carry or a facilitator, and it's probably the most versatile role in League of Legends in terms of like you have to be able to do the greatest number of things. Like mid laners can play facilitators, they can play assassins, they can play tanks, they can play control mages. There are so many different ways to play mid lane, but for the most part, I think it just depends so much on the game. Actually, for mid lane, I would say it's very versatile.
That's all I need to know, right? So they can go places, they can play a wide variety of different champs, and it depends on what you've chosen and context of the situation, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. That's super helpful. Thank you very much. And you looked at my recent Bard game. Do you want to go through that? Shall I load up the?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I've never loaded up a replay yet. Let me see. Does this work? Oh, put this over here. I've never loaded up a replay, but how about I open the replay and then I stream it to you? Do you think that would work, or do you want to be the one that shows the image?
Oh, you can go for it. Either that, or I put timestamps to the links that I left in the document, or all you can just click on them and it will open to the point that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's another option, but replay is going to give you more options to like look around the map at things.
Okay.
So whichever you prefer.
I'll open the replay so that chat has a visual aid as well on what happened.
Good call.
Wow. Oh, you gave timestamps to the YouTube video. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you can just click it and it'll open to the timer.
Okay. Let's open it. One of the feedbacks that I've gotten via my YouTube comments is that people said I hold on to cooldowns and mana too much, because mana is a very precious resource in Dota 2. You're not supposed to spam spells. And I still spam them too much there. So I have this culture of thrift instilled in me. And then I end up like not casting heals with Bard when I have them available.
Okay, we can definitely take a look at that.
How do I watch replays?
So in the client, you should be able to open up your match history.
Okay. But I don't know how. You should be able to see my stream now.
Yeah, let's take a look. This is an adventure because I don't even have a League of Legends account anymore. That's how long it's been since I played League of Legends. My account doesn't work anymore.
So you mentioned like when you looked over the shoulders of your players, you were like, actually, never mind. Do you mean like you're not sure you will catch up to the level and you prefer to play things cerebrally instead of like working it out on paper, or is it like, I don't know, toxicity or something of the
just
solo queue games?
Like my solo queue is not necessarily always pleasant, and it's a very, very different experience to competitive League of Legends. I find competitive League of Legends very thought-provoking and analytical and intensely beautiful, and I love the kind of collaboration of it and how synchronized some of the teams are, whereas solo queue is realistically just a competition of how hard you can solo carry a game. That's what solo queue elo amounts to. Like how hard can you drag your teammates over the finish line, right? And so it often comes with a lot of frustration. fun fact, I was a Shaco one trick when I played. Not like a one trick. I've actually played pretty much every champion. Like I was a
Shaker?
very broad guy, but
Uh,
Shaco, Shaco.
Oh, Shaco.
Yeah. He's a murderous serial killing clown, and he's a jungler usually.
The Demon Jester.
He's marvelous.
He's a jungler?
Yeah.
Cool, I haven't played him yet.
He's a champion that pretty much everyone hates to play against. He's almost never played in competitive. He's pretty much exclusively a solo queue champion, and he's kind of a stealth assassin type champion. And a lot of his role is, I mean, when I play games, usually I get pleasure from making sure that someone on the enemy team is having a terrible day. So Shaco is the type of champion that you go to someone and you like gank them 3 times and just don't let them play. Which is a great way to win solo queue.
Yes, it is, and it's funny because you seem like a friendly guy, right? Very cheery chap, and yet, isn't it weird to you yourself that you can have extra fun in a game when you know someone else is having a terrible time? How do you harmonize that feeling with like, I think I'm generally a good person, but I enjoy their misery? Because I'm the same way. Games are more fun when they're suffering.
They are. I think it comes down to like competitiveness, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think for me, a lot of it is about like that's actually just a really efficient way to win in League of Legends, right? Like because when someone starts like really complaining and like disconnecting from the game or flaming or trolling, like it usually you kind of can get a feeling when you're playing ranked in this game. Hey, there's your match history. That whether your team has like a decent kind of vibe or whether it's going to be a really horrible game. Like when people first start saying like the really negative things.
Yeah.
So I always literally just instantly mute people as soon as they say the first negative thing, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn to do the same thing in Dota 2. It's super helpful. You forget that someone was an ass after like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or like didn't believe in the victory.
Yeah, I mean, you guys came back from an open nexus in this game.
yes, we did. Pretty cool. So
that was fun.
I clicked to replay. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's all good.
Are you seeing this?
Yeah. I can take you through the list of stuff we have then.
Okay, cool.
So the first thing that I think you discussed on stream was kind of rune and itemization theory, and there was talk about like, you took the shield item and that was wrong because you're playing range versus melee. Was roughly the conversation.
How do I see my items actually?
If you press O, it will bring up the scoreboard.
Ah.
Okay. So, general theory on this is that it's less about range versus melee, and it's more about poke versus engage. So the important thing is figuring out what is the engage range versus your like poke range of your opponents, and that's kind of the dynamic in this game, right? You're playing with Ezreal, who's super long range, to the extent that realistically, like Master Yi should never be able to get on top of him. If he plays well, until like level 6 when Yi doesn't even have flash, so the chance of him getting on top of Ezreal is practically nil, to be honest.
So I don't have that champion knowledge yet, where I can see at a glance what champ everybody's playing, their engage range, and so on. If I'm lucky, I know if they have a ranged attack or a melee. I happen to know these two: Kaisa ranged, Master Yi support.
I've never seen a Master Yi support before. This was the first time for me.
Yeah. Isn't it cool, the low ranks? And I say that I'm not even ranked, so it's even less than low ranked.
It's great. In this game, you can afford, if you want, to take like the aggressive support item, which is the blue one that basically stacks up gold when you hit, but that's really secondary.
Okay, why would I do that?
Because the enemy bot lane can't engage on your AD carry, or realistically, they can't engage on you. We're going to talk a little bit about lane positioning later.
Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, that's the extent of his engage, right? Which is not very good. Like that trade was really hard losing for him, even though he was level 2 to level 1, right? So the timing of the trade was good for him, but he has no follow-up, and his AD carry also can't follow up because she doesn't have like a gap close to get on top of you. I think someone mentioned in your chat as well. There's like a. This is. I mean, it's an interesting thing to talk about if you want to get into it from like a more technical perspective. Is the level 2 spike?
Always want to get into it more technical.
Okay, brilliant. So, do you know how many minions it takes for you to get level 2 in the bot lane?
I don't actually know.
It takes 8 minions. So the second minion death of the second wave.
How many? Oh, okay. So 6. The waves start 3 and 3. The first wave is 3 melee, 3 ranged.
Yeah, exactly. And cannons spawn every third wave until later on in the mid game.
Okay. So the
first 2 waves will be 12 minions, and on
yeah.
the 8th minion you'll get your level 2. So if you go back to, I think it should be around 2 minutes, I suppose.
I think someone in chat said it might be 9 now for bot wave.
In this game, I think it was 8. If I remember
9
correctly.
for bot lane, 8 for Bard, said someone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's Bard.
I have bonus XP from the chimes, right?
Did you pick up any chimes? I don't think you picked up chimes before.
Not yet. No, not yet. But I guess I could get it a little bit earlier, depending on where the chimes go. So 8 or 9 minions, and you get level 2. So does that mean that you would actually want to kill the creeps as quickly as possible?
Yes, exactly. So a lot of the dynamic in bot lane on the first 2 waves is fighting really hard for the push. In this game, you leashed for your jungler, which means that typically you'll lose the push because you'll arrive late to the wave.
Yeah.
Which means that you'll usually lose the level 2. So in this game, you leashed, and Master, you got level 2 before you, and all in you on level 2.
What's the term you're using? Leashed?
Yeah, so you went and hit the red buff for your jungler, so that he has a slightly faster red buff. Did you not?
Leashing...
you hit it.
Oh, I hit it. Okay, so normally, in Haas, when you pull a creep so far away as a dog by its leash that it wants to go back home again, that's leashing. So like when you try to take it around the corner and it goes back again, it gets leashed and it goes home and it heals. But you're just calling it hitting the creep is a leash.
Yeah, so specifically for your jungler's start, like when your jungler wants to start on red buff and you hit the red buff, we call that a leash.
Okay, cool.
I actually don't even know why. For what you're talking about, we would say that creeps deleashed, as in they're like off the lead so they can run home.
Oh, wow.
Or you'd say they de-aggroed, I guess.
Okay, so anyway, I was helping the jungler, and I thought that's always a plus since no creeps died yet anyway. And you're saying there's a flip side because you might want to quickly get the level 2 power spike.
Yeah, League is a beautiful game because there is a cost to every single action in the game.
Yeah,
that's one of the great things about the game.
And I was not aware there was that cost, though. Maybe I could have been aware because obviously high level gives you another ability, and so I could have tried to come up with that independently, but I didn't yet.
Well, it took League of Legends pros a long time for that. This is something that was there's an NALCS player called I'm a Cutie Pie who was very famous back in the day for basically coming up with the level 2 all in, and he would like solo kill people every single game with it. Not every single game, but like they got a lot of solo kills in competitive games with this before people realized what the hell was going on, and then it became meta, and now it's just like a really basic fundamental skill in League of Legends.
Cool. So do you think I should just have QW as Bard, no portal, for that level 2? Because the portal obviously doesn't do anything.
For the first 2 levels, QW is fine. It really depends on if you're going to be harassing a lot, but generally you're going to be harassing a lot in this type of lane where you're playing against like champions that can't get on top of you super easily. It's fine to just harass the hell out of them. And I mean, you're never going to be super unhappy with taking your W. You would only take E if you were going like to invade enemy jungle or something like that.
Yeah. Hey, and how does creep aggro work? I can tell that when I hit enemy champs that that the creeps get angry, but for how long do they get angry, and how can I quell them again?
Until you either move far away enough to deleash them or drop out of vision. So that's why in a matchup like this, where you're playing double ranged bot lane, it's really important for you to take control of the bushes so that you can walk out the bush, throw an auto attack, and drop back into the bush. And then a whole like kind of arms race of controlling the bushes and warding the bushes starts to develop in competitive games, where
if I have
a lot of the ranged matchup is about bush control.
Yes, because if I have vision and they don't, then the bush is like free hits for me all the time.
Exactly.
Because they
You
can't
just
hit
walk
me
out the
back.
bush, hit them, step back in, and their creeps won't aggro you, or they will, and then they'll go back. Which there's also a whole kind of dynamic there with if you hit someone and their creeps start running towards you, their creeps aren't hitting your creeps. But if they haven't hit you back yet, your creeps are still hitting theirs. So hitting people naturally makes your wave push.
Right. Yep. And that can be desirable or it can be undesirable, depending on the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Most people have stealth wards at the start of the game. When am I supposed to, as a support, pick up a sweeper trinket? I'm trying to get the terminology.
Realistically, in solo queue, I would say almost never. Generally speaking, what you use your sweeper for, if you're going to get sweeper at level 1, is to try to find someone else's ward, and that ward gives you a small XP advantage, and that allows you to hit level 2 one creep earlier, and then you get an earlier all-in timing, right? But I wouldn't say
Control
it's
ward.
particularly common.
So I should buy the control ward. Is that what you said?
Oh, no. So, a control ward's a whole different topic.
Oh.
So, at level 1, people will often use their like trinket ward to go and do something, right? Like go and get deep vision on the jungler, for example, and try and spot where he starts, right?
Oh.
Or try and ward so that they're safe or something, right? If you have the sweeper,
Yeah.
and you sweep that ward, then you get a small amount of XP and gold for killing the ward, right?
Yeah.
So if you manage to do that before your lane starts, and then you get to lane on time, you will get your level 2 earlier than your opponents. So that's the situation where you would take sweeper.
Okay, and the sweeper has a different name than sweeper.
Does it?
It's the scanner. Yeah, I mean, I think it's called differently now because I'm always confused when people try to tell me get the sweeper because there's nothing called sweeper.
Oh, maybe it used to be called sweeper and it's now changed. I still thought it was called sweeper, to be honest. Before that, it was called Oracle Lens.
Yeah, it's called Oracle Lens.
So, it's called Oracle Lens?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's also called Red Trinket.
Yeah.
Okay.
The red one.
Yeah. So when do I buy it? My first recall?
So that depends a lot on the scenario. So broadly speaking, you can always change it as a support when you've got your warding item. Like when you've completed your support quest, it gives you enough to be able to drop your own wards.
Yes.
Then you can always change it. You can do it earlier. The trade-off is that you can deny more enemy vision. So, for example, if you want to deny vision around a very pivotal mid lane matchup and make sure that the enemy mid laner, who happens to be, like say in this game, you're playing against an immobile mid laner who doesn't have a dash, and you want to gank him a lot, well, you can invest control wards and sweepers around his lane and then go and kill him. That would be the like incentive for that. The cost is that you'll have less vision of your own to make your own lane safe, right? So if you're playing a lane matchup where you want to harass a lot and push a lot, you will need wards to make you safe from the enemy jungler.
Yeah. And that would be in this bush, I guess?
So generally speaking, deeper vision is better. That bush is fine, but it's often very easy for junglers to like hit the blast plant?
No.
Okay, so the blast plant are these little like red things or blast cones, whatever, that spawn on the map, and you hit them and they knock you over the wall.
Yeah.
So there's one that spawns just there where you were looking on the other side of the wall, where you said for the ward placement. So on red side, slightly up, just next to this bush here. Yep, there's a blast plant that spawns right there. So the jungler can take it and knock himself over the wall, and then you won't see him until he's already like on top of that bush, which is quite late, especially if you're pushing deep, right?
Oh yeah.
So generally, the deeper your vision is, the better. So like for example, warding the enemy blue buff and grump, and going and taking that plant, the blue one that you're looking at right now, is a great way of getting extra information in the laning phase to make yourself safe.
Okay. But if I want to play a harassy lane with ranged heroes, like you said, and want to make sure the enemy can't do the same thing back to us, would this bush and this bush be crucial to control and to sweep away from wards?
So sweeping wards in those areas is really good for sure. The reality is that you don't tend to have enough resources to do all of those things. So normally I would prioritize safety. If we're talking about like high level competitive, then you end up fighting a lot over those bushes because people people drop wards for their top laners to teleport on against hardcore pushing bot lanes. But generally speaking, keeping like the first step is making yourself safe vision wise. Again, there's all kinds of adaptations that people make. Generally, you want to fight really hard for those bushes, especially kind of early into the game, like first 5 levels.
These bushes?
Yeah, those
Yeah.
lane bushes. You want to make sure that you have the bush control for those. But if you're playing a range matchup where you're going to harass a lot, the aim is for you to be playing under their tower. The aim is for you to be playing all the way up in the lane, and for that, you really need deep vision.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And how do you effectively harass someone under tower? How many shots is acceptable to take? 1?
How many, as in shots, like how many times do you want to auto them?
No, how many times is the tower allowed to auto me while harassing enemy under tower?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so that depends on whether or not the support is landing CC and how much damage you have, right? If it's a massively favorable health trade, then it's fine to take as many tower shots as you want, as long as the trade is favorable. The key to not getting hit by the tower is to look at the timing when it's hitting. And again, if you see when the tower has already... There's a moment where the tower has locked in its shot on a minion, right? Where it's committed to attacking that minion, and you can then attack someone when that happens, and you can be out of tower range before it then does its second shot on you. Because as soon as you hit them and the damage registers on them, the tower will change focus to you. But you can already be out of the range by that point.
Okay.
This is much easier if you're doing it on ranged creeps, because for the enemy laner to come and CS the ranged creeps, they will have to walk farther forward because they're naturally farther back, right? Because they're not in melee range of the tower.
Oh, yeah.
So it's much easier to harass people on the range creeps. If you don't harass that much on the melees, it's fine. But if you're in a range matchup, you want to harass on every single range creep.
That makes sense, actually. And are ranged worth more than melee?
The melees are worth more gold.
More gold, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
More gold than XP.
Yeah, that's the opposite from Dota.
Yeah, that's true.
Interesting. And the catapult is, of course, worth the most?
Yeah, and it's the tankiest by far.
Okay. Let's see. You had a couple of timestamps. You talked about wave, bounce back, roam, gank, and chimes. So...
Okay, yeah.
What opportunities could I use to go get the chimes?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be after your first death, actually. So all the way back.
We go back a bit.
Yeah. By the way, instantly place the W on top of someone, because I think in that skirmish where you died, you missed your W on yourself, basically.
You dropped away for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Connection, yeah. I know I can Alt W to heal myself, right? Or W someone else, yes.
Yeah, okay. You can just place it straight away under them. Like if here you're going to place it in the bush and then die, and it's a bit sad.
It's the same as Deckard Cain in Heroes of the Storm with potions. Bard actually, he has 4 abilities that are somewhat existent in HOTS as well. This I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but for my HOTS appreciator community,
I actually coached a HOTS team for a very short period of time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So his portal is Medivh's portal, kind of.
Okay.
But enemies can take it. Then he's got Deckard Cain's healing potion, which also becomes greater healing potion with the level 13 talent. And then the Q is a little bit like Kel'Thuzad's chains, in that it will either slow or stun if you hit 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So he's that one as well. That's a lot of my favorite heroes so far, by the way. And then his ult is Void Prison from Zeratul. So he's got 4 HOTS abilities, though of course Lee came out first and probably Bard came out first.
Yeah, Bard is a really interesting champion in League history because he was released and then literally no one played him competitively for like 6 or 8 months.
Yeah, makes sense.
He wasn't
harder to fit in.
Considered useful, until people figured out how useful he actually was. Okay, so the timer we're looking for is at about 3 minutes when you're respawning from base.
Okay, yeah. So I respawn, and I end up walking back to lane, I suppose.
Yeah. So I think if you look at the position of the bot wave when you died, it's basically at their tower, if I remember correctly. Like it's certainly on their side of the map. Yeah. Which means it's going to take some time to bounce back. So Ezreal's going to clear this wave for free, right? So he's going to crash this wave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mistaken in my timing. Sorry, it's actually after the death. So this happens.
So he's shoving the wave.
Yeah, Ezreal's going to crash the wave, and that is one of the scenarios that we talked about earlier, right? Where you now have a free roam time because
I
this
have a
wave,
minute.
yeah, no one needs to be on this wave for 1 minute. So right now, what you can do is you can roam into the top side of the map. You can pick up some chimes. I think you have chimes on the ground around mid.
Yeah, I
And
did nothing.
because,
That's true.
yeah, because you're playing. So you're playing. Do you know what Lissandra and Talon do? Your mid
No.
jungle.
No.
Okay. So Lissandra is a great example of a kind of facilitator mid. Basically, she brings loads of CC. She just
What
has
the
a
fuck?
lot of CC in her kit.
What's he doing, by the way?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
What is he doing?
DC'd, perhaps? Nope, not DC'd. Yeah, no. No answer for you there, I'm afraid.
I don't know what Lissandra does, but I know she doesn't do this.
She doesn't do that. Okay, so perhaps this wasn't the best angle for you to be able to gank mid because your mid laner wasn't actually laning.
I'll go to the tier 2 tower and I'll inspire the troops.
Yeah,
Follow
yeah,
me
do it.
if you want to live. And then
Maybe,
I help
if you had been there, he would have had the courage to walk up to the minion wave.
Yeah. I'll get my level 2 Lissandra to gank the enemy level 4 Hoi.
Yeah. So that aside, that was a great timing for you to potentially go to mid lane, and you can even gank mid lane from like top river in this scenario. You can link up with your Talon. Talon is like Lissandra Talon's a very cool mid 2v2 combo because Lissandra does CC and Talon jumps over walls and kills people. Is the short version.
Where's Talon?
Talon at the time I think was farming his topside camps.
Who is Talon?
Oh, Talon is your jungler. So he's the guy that's currently.
Oh yeah.
He's the guy that's currently in your bot side jungle.
So
Yeah, there you go.
I also want to kind of look at his level and his jungle path to see when it might be an opportune moment for him to group up with me and gank someone.
Exactly. And this is going to take some time because it requires you to know what the champions do.
Yeah.
But Hwei is an immobile champion, so he doesn't
I
really
know
have
Hwei-
any natural mobility.
I know Hui's kit at least.
Okay, great. So considering that you have a damaged jungler and a CC mid, the 4-minute window was a really good window for you to go mid and look to blow this guy's flash. And then when you get your level 6, he's going to die to you for sure because you're just going to walk mid and press R on him and he has
Yeah.
no flash.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Talon has a cool kit.
He's very cool. He has a unique kind of per wall cooldown where he can jump over any wall within that lockout period. So when he jumps over a wall, it will have a cooldown on that specific wall. But if he runs around the map, he can jump over every single wall on the map for free. It's just his passive.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay. Let's see. Not sure. We should go through the whole list at this time. You were very helpful. I'm gonna look at this definitely after stream as well. But let's take a couple of the gems. Yes, wards. I'm very confused still about wards and which ones I should have with me and how I should use them. I don't know the ward locations, and sometimes I don't know the properties. Stealth wards, is it true that they get shut down when you scan them, when you oracle lens them?
Yeah, either when you oracle them or when you drop a control ward on top of them, they lose their vision.
But the opponents will know that they got shut down unless they were not aware of their remaining cooldown, right?
Yeah. So they don't die; they just become inactive and don't see anything.
But
they also
know-
become revealed to the opponent.
What becomes revealed to the opponent?
Your stealth ward becomes revealed to your opponent if they use a sweeper or a control ward on top of your stealth ward.
Sure. And so it seems kind of like that's the Dota 2 smoke mechanic, in that wards serve to protect you and to warn you of trouble, but that there's something that circumvents that. In this case, it shuts down the wards. In Dota, you can be invisible and undetected by all wards until you approach a hero via the smoke of deceit. So this is also like a deceitful approach where they don't see you coming as much. But you are aware that your stealth ward suddenly isn't working. It's kind of like if your alarm camera suddenly goes off. It's a bit sussy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if I'm gonna go with the gank, I would turn on my oracle in this bush, and then walk up to this bush, which often have a stealth ward.
Yeah, for example. And when you have your Oracle on, when it sweeps, it will do like a rotation around your character, and you will see everything that's in that bush, even when you're not in it. You'll see champions, you'll see wards, like you'll see their outlines pop up in the sweeper visually.
Should I then go kill the ward, or do I just walk past it knowing it's shut down?
You should kill the ward. It's not shut down permanently. It's only shut down for the duration that either a control ward or your sweeper is within range of it.
But then do I not give warning to the one that I'm gonna gank that I'm currently disposing of his security camera, allowing him to leave through the back door?
Yes. So you'll have to make a kind of decision in the moment there, right? Whether you're sweeping to put pressure on him later, or sweeping to, you know, facilitate your kind of your mid laner, or if you're actually going there for a gank, then you skip the ward.
Okay. And which wards are most worth it to kill? You've got stealth wards, control ward. Is there another type of ward?
Yeah, so there's a trinket from the blue. There's a ward from the blue trinket, which, you know, I think it's called the Farsight Totem, the blue trinket, something like that. Where
yeah, it's big.
Yeah. So that one basically it has like a really really long range,
Isn't it
and
a
you
radar?
can drop it anywhere. Kind of like you can drop it anywhere, and it will reveal everything in that location from a very long range. But it only has 1 HP and it's visible to everyone. So it's very much like a one-time thing for if you desperately need to check this bush from afar, or if you need to see if the enemy team is on Baron or something like that.
Yeah. And so you don't... which ones are most worth it to kill? I mean, you want to kill all wards, but they, like you mentioned, they give gold and they give XP. I've seen some wards give 5 gold, some give 25.
Yeah, so the ones that only give very little gold are are either the blue trinket wards, or there's another type which is called zombie ward, which is like a rune, which you can get where basically it whenever you clear a ward, it drops like a visible zombie ward behind you. So those are the ones that are worth the least. Then the normal wards, stealth wards, and then after that the control wards are worth the most.
How much are control wards?
That's a great question. I couldn't even tell you.
The stealth wards are 25 gold?
Let's check.
75 gold, says chat.
75 gold? There you go.
25, so 5, 25, 75. And what about the XP? How significant are we talking? Are we talking a quarter level for a ward?
No, it's relatively insignificant. It's only really significant for like planning early level spikes.
Okay, got it. Did you think this Gragas was particularly good, or he just got he just had a good game and it was enabled through the momentum? Because my YouTube was like, for sure that guy was a Smurf, but I think people sometimes tend to overweigh that. They might be right, but maybe whenever someone is having a good game, by default they're a Smurf in commenters' eyes.
Yeah. I mean, he could be a Smurf, but equally, I don't think it's necessarily the case.
Is it hard for you to judge? Is it hard for you to judge different
that
moves?
was a good ulti, for example, that he just threw. That was a pretty good ulti positioning. So that was nice from him. But I wouldn't be able to say concretely either way, to be honest.
Yeah. That makes sense. You don't routinely watch people that play this random and poorly, so it can be hard to judge. Understand. Would you want to do a live game today as well?
Sure. Yeah. I will warn you that I am terrible on live games, so it will mostly just be anecdotal commentary.
Normally, you're not allowed to be on cams, of course, during live game. So
exactly.
Are you gonna get like nervous during the live game?
I think I'll manage. But yeah, I was never a pro player, so it takes me like a lot longer than like pro players to be able to process some of the information. You know, like my players will look at a team fight once on full speed and be like, "Oh yeah, this guy messed up," and I'll be like, "Huh?"
Good. That's how I feel too when I watch pro games in Dota 2. Even now, still. But luckily, the games that I'm playing won't be pro, but you may still go, huh? But because of what everyone is doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just the wild random stuff everyone is doing. Do you have like a particular passion for one given role? I know you said you played Shaco, the jungler. Do we want to go jungle, support, ADC, mid, top? I don't mind. I think everything is fun.
I mean, jungle support definitely are the most interesting ones from like a kind of moving around the map theory perspective, and we just talked about a lot of support kind of movement concepts. So that would be a cool thing to drill.
Yeah. Well, let's do that then. Let's go for support, and then I can kind of learn when and how and where I'm allowed to and should rotate. I think that's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of the kind of later stages of the game, some of the notes that you can like take a look at later, I think it's really interesting to think about in terms of what vision does in League of Legends, because it's a lot like, and obviously in Warcraft 3 you have much fewer resources in terms of placing vision. But
Yeah.
I've watched you play a lot of games where you have like your Witch Doctor and your Farseer or your Blade Master or whatever, and you're dropping wards all over the map, and then someone walks over the ward to go and attack your base, and they're heading like top left of the map, and you instantly then commit as few people as you possibly can to defend in top left, or even sack top left completely, and then go and harass their workers, right? And League of Legends has the exact same concept, and that's the point of vision, is to be able to know which side of the map your opponents are playing on, and then allow you to either choose to defend or go to the opposite side and attack.
Makes sense. Too many people play reactively in Dota 2, where if someone presses a button on the left, you go defend left, and they press a button on the right, you go defend right, and they end up migrating the entire tribe to the other side of the map. And I'm often like, hey, we can do the same thing to them. The way they're hurting us, we can hurt them right here.
Exactly. And like support and jungle are the two roles in the game that have the most like mobility on the map, in the sense that they have the most free time to go and move, right? So those are the guys that decide where your numbers are essentially invested.
Yeah.
Like which side of the map, right? And so that's why those two roles are a lot about basically creating numbers advantage situations on the map, and vision is a really important part of doing that.
Cool.